Create and modify corridors, Part 2. After completing this video, you will be able to clear corridor bow ties, rebuild corridors, create objects from corridors, modify corridor properties, explain the difference between baselines created from alignments and those created from feature lines, and utilize corridor tools to edit the targets and frequency. Sometimes when you're working with corridors, you'll end up with what's called a bow tie at a corner. It's basically where the daylight line is overlapping other parts of the daylight line. To clean this up, you'll select the corridor model, then on the contextual ribbon Corridor Tools panel, click Clear Corridor Bow Ties. It will ask you for the baseline. My baseline I want to clean up is on the curb return, so I'll select that. I'll need to specify the subentity to start with, so I'll select this line from here. Then have it go all the way through to this line. And it's going to ask for the intersection of where that bow tie ends. So I'll pick a point here and press the Enter key. You can see it cleaned up the bow tie and cleaned up the corridor. Now I need to create a knuckle in this area. To do that, I'll start by splitting my corridor into a couple regions. So I'll select the corridor model with Object Snap turned on, Modify Region panel, click Split Region. It's going to ask you for the corridor. I'll click on the corridor, then use the endpoint to snap to that endpoint, and I'll split the region again on this endpoint. Then I can expand my Modify Region panel and click Delete Region. I'll click on this region inside of here so that I can rebuild this area with a new region. To add a new region, I'll go to the Modify Region panel again, click Add Regions. It's going to ask me for the baseline. I'll click on that baseline. I'll specify the region where I want it to start. I'll start at the endpoint and go through the other endpoint. Then it will ask me for an assembly. I'm going to select an assembly that has an offset assembly attached to it, which is this one. Then I'll click OK. And in the target mapping, I can click the option to set all the surfaces for the daylight lines to the existing ground and click OK. Then for my lane offset, I'm going to click an object, select the polyline from the drawing and press Enter and click OK. I'm going to do the same for the slope or elevation offsets. Click the outside elevation target, select from the drawing that feature line, press Enter, and click OK. When I'm done, I'll click OK. And you can see it stretched my pavement, but it hasn't stretched my daylight line yet. I need to actually tell it to do that. But I also need to change the frequency around here because I'm getting very straight segments inside of it. To change my frequency, I'll select the corridor in the Modify region. I'll click Edit Frequency, select the region to edit, then set the curve increments to 5 so that I get more corridor sections applied in that region. Click OK, and it cleaned that up. Finally, we need to make sure that that offset assembly from this assembly we used in this knuckle region gets applied. So I'll select the corridor one more time. In the Modify Corridor panel, click Corridor Properties. You'll notice that in this region, the region has an offset assembly and it's below the original assembly. Now we need to tell it which horizontal and vertical offsets to use to stretch that offset assembly. I'll click on the option for the horizontal first, selecting the feature line from Site 1 and selecting feature line 3, clicking OK, And then I'll set it for the vertical as well, which it took by default. I'll click OK and click OK. It will need to rebuild that corridor model to see it. That looks much better. The reason we use the offset assembly in an assembly is so that we get the curb and gutter line perpendicular to that feature line, whereas if we'd just used the primary road, it would have stretched it and not looked correct in that area. Now let's take a look at how we can modify our corridor using the grips. We can see that in this area, I have some overlaps happening between my regions. In that case, I may need to just adjust those regions by using the grip and having it not apply to overlap the other. Using this grip, I'll push this back a little bit. And in fact, I think I'll go back further, all the way to the end. And that has taken care of the corridor. However, you may notice that there's an exclamation mark next to my corridor model. If that happens, all I have to do is right-click on the corridor and select Rebuild. And it will rebuild that corridor according to all of the edits that we have done. And then finally, if I need to extract feature lines or alignments or anything else out of my corridor, I can select the corridor model. Then on the contextual ribbon Launchpad panel, I can extract an alignment from the corridor, feature lines from the corridor, or sample lines. Let me extract feature lines. And using that option, it's going to ask me for what feature line I want to extract. And if I need to extract the back of my curb, you'll notice when I hover over a line in that corridor, it tells me all of the feature lines that are over that piece, that are at that point. But as I move in, it will tell me other feature lines that I can extract. I'm going to extract my back of curb, so I'll click on it and press Enter. It will bring up my Extract Corridor Feature Lines dialog box where I can select which feature lines I want to pull. So if I want to clear all of them except for my top of curb, I can use the open box to turn off all the feature lines, then select my top of curb and press Extract. That feature line is now available to me so that I can edit any elevations or create grading objects from that and much more.